I have a feeling that almost everyone here is thinking about adventure incorrectly. Here's one of my favorite adventure stories. It's 4:30 in the morning, pitch black. The dim light from my headlamp is just bright enough to see Juma, who's my mountain guide. We're walking slowly through the darkness up a really steep incline. My heart's pounding, my chest is heavy, but I look up at the night sky and the stardust of the Milky Way galaxy grabs my attention. Then Juma shouts for me to catch up, so I snap out of my stargaze and I continue to walk on. We've been trekking since 10 p.m. the night prior, and I'm exhausted, but I remain focused on the goal: get to the top of this mountain. So after another hour or so of climbing, Juma and I catch a glimpse of the summit and we look at each other. With a burst of adrenaline, we race to this large wooden sign, one that I've been envisioning for years, and it reads, Mount Kilimanjaro, 19,341 feet. Taking it all in, on top of Africa's highest peak, I thought about what we'd accomplished. We climbed a mountain. What an adventure! So when I say the word adventure, what comes to mind? Maybe climbing mountains, jumping out of airplanes, or going on long expeditions deep in the wilderness. And that makes sense. In fact, Webster Dictionary defines adventure as an undertaking usually involving danger and unknown risks. But there's a problem with this definition. Most people feel that adventure is unattainable. It's something that's reserved for the intrepid, people who can, on a whim, explore the most remote corners of the world. It's not meant for regular people, say those with 9-to-5 jobs, or people who are in school full-time. It's out of reach. When we're lucky enough to take vacation time to adventure, our experiences feel rushed and fleeting. It's as if adopting this definition forces many of us to distance ourselves from adventure altogether. Now here's another story much closer to home. Last summer, my friends and I joined a volleyball league. For context, none of us had really played volleyball before. We simply thought it would be something fun to do after work. But here's the thing. It was the most fun experience of my summer. Each week, I'd meet up with a group of friends at the beach. We'd laugh, we'd get a bit of a workout in, and we'd learn a new sport together. What I loved most, every Monday around 6 p.m., I was present. I was excited to be there, and I was learning something new with an open mind. So I thought about volleyball for a while, and I realized I loved the experience because it felt like an adventure. How could that be? I wasn't far from home, surely wasn't taking any risks, so how could playing in a volleyball league feel like an adventure? I thought about my feelings for a while, and I had a breakthrough. I found out that there are 3 qualities that define every adventure, big or small. Number 1 is being present in the moment. Number 2 is being excited. And number 3 is being open to new experiences. Playing in a volleyball league in New Jersey appears to have nothing in common with trekking Mount Kilimanjaro. But when you think about it, you don't need to be traveling overseas or climbing mountains to feel adventurous. In fact, the qualities of adventure, present, excited, and open, are very much achievable in our daily lives. Now, at this point, you might be wondering, why should I even care about being more adventurous? Let's take one more look at the qualities. Present, excited, and open. All 3 are necessary in order to live a happy and fulfilling life. And there's data to prove it. In a recent University of Chicago study, only 14% of adults reported that they're very happy. That's a 5-decade low. Some of the reasons for the unhappiness are regret, boredom, and monotony. But I have good news for you. We can all add adventure to our lives every single day. And the qualities of adventure directly fight against the unhappiness caused by the regret, boredom, and monotony. You see, adventure is the missing ingredient that can make us happier. So how do we become more adventurous? Here's a simple 2-step framework. Start by changing the definition of adventure, and then adopt an adventurous mindset. Let's change the definition. As it turns out, Webster has a second, lesser-known definition for adventure. That is, an exciting or remarkable experience. When put this way, I can think of countless examples of adventures. Yes, climbing mountains, but also joining new sports leagues. How about leaving your current job to try something new or to start your own business? Or something simple like picking up a new hobby. When we consciously accept this updated definition, adventure becomes much more attainable. It's no longer reserved solely for those who wish to free dive with great white sharks in South Africa, even though I have to admit that is on my bucket list. Adventure becomes attainable for everyone. Now, it's one thing to change your definition. It's another to actually feel adventurous each day. Because after all, it's a little tricky to view something like learning to play the guitar in the same way we view skydiving. There's a physiological response to apparent danger that's impossible to replicate in most day-to-day situations. That's why we need an adventurous mindset. An adventurous mindset is an attitude in which we view our experiences through the lens of adventure. That is, we're present, excited, and open to all of our experiences. How do we get this mindset? Start by seeking out adventures. Don't shy away from new people, places, or experiences. Challenge yourself to do one thing each week that you've never done before. Then make adventure a habit. If you build a consistent habit of adventure, you'll start to view everything that you do in a new and exciting way. Now let's shift gears. Growing up, I was a soccer player. I started playing at age 5 with dreams of playing professionally. I gradually leveled up over the years and eventually played through college. I captained the team at the College of New Jersey. Soccer was much more than a sport to me. It was my identity. When I realized that I didn't have the level of talent to play professionally, I looked for other ways to bring soccer into my life. After traveling overseas and seeing both the love for soccer internationally and the levels of poverty that existed in some developing nations, I decided to start a soccer-specific social mission company with my best friend. It's called Universal Dialect. Our mission is to give as many soccer balls as possible to kids that can't afford to play the sport they love. I wanted to share my passion with the kids, and I wanted to help. Now let's travel back to Mount Kilimanjaro, where my talk began. Now you might have thought that I went there to climb the mountain, but I was actually there for something much bigger. My company organized a soccer ball giving event with a local school in Moshi, Tanzania. That's what I was there for. I simply trekked Kilimanjaro because I love to challenge myself, and I couldn't pass up the opportunity to reach Africa's highest peak while visiting. So while descending down the mountain, I turned my attention to what the next day had in store. We were going over to the school to donate soccer balls. The next day, as we arrived at the school, a crowd of young, energetic Tanzanian students formed around the car. The school's headmaster spoke to the kids in Swahili, the local language, and they formed a circle large enough for me to set down bags of soccer balls. A quick look at the kids told the entire story. They were glowing in anticipation, with smiles that stretched across their entire faces. They wanted to move, to play, to take a soccer ball and run around. While I opened one of the ball bags, an eager girl came forward to receive the first ball. Her reaction was something that I'll never forget. She thanked me in Swahili, put the ball at her feet, and set off dribbling into the crowd of school kids. In a flash, the whole group was in motion, sprinting to a dirt field next to the courtyard. Then one boy ran over to me. He took my arm and guided me into the most exhilarating game of pickup soccer that I'd ever experienced. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about soccer. The act of playing was an adventure, and it was the kids' adventure. We were present, we were excited, and we were open to new experiences. See, the kids didn't need to be far from home. They didn't need to put their lives at risk. They didn't even need to have much money. They simply needed to experience the qualities of adventure. We were happy, and we were truly living in the moment. So we played, we sweat, and we adventured under the hot sun for hours. Reflecting on that magical day, two things became clear to me. Number one, while I used to think of adventure in its typical definition, I learned along the way that adventure is attainable. Something as simple as playing soccer is just as much of an adventure as climbing the tallest mountains in the world. And you don't need to be far from home to access meaningful adventure and live a happier life. The truth is that you can turn any experience into an adventure. Number two, despite years of growing up playing soccer, I realized that soccer wasn't my true identity. I was an adventurer all along, and soccer was simply the vehicle. I'll leave you with this. I challenge you to change your definition of adventure, to adopt an adventurous mindset, and to seek out new experiences, as small as nurturing a new hobby and as large as climbing a mountain. I challenge you to become an adventurer, because after all, the world would be a happier place if we became a bit more adventurous. Thank you.